YouTube, family, friends, and subscribers. This is a short video on an overview of replacing the voltage regulator on an MEP-016D. This is for a 120 volt application. The beautiful thing about that is it allows the generator's total capacity to be focused on one 120 volt circuit, keeping the entire generator balanced. Most generators, when you pull 120 off of them, unless they have a 120 volt only selector switch, then you could dangerously imbalance your generator if your inverter charger is a 120 volt input on the charger and you're only using one side of your generator's potential. You can end up burning the coils out. So it's recommended either have a big enough generator to do it, 6,000 watt, or get one that has a switch, a selector switch that has 120 volt only. This one does, so does my backup diesel. So 120 volt only, L1 is the hot, L2 is the neutral. The ground is picked up on the ground lug. And the ground and the neutral at my house are bonded in the AC power panel at the point of entry as per our NEC code in our area. This is what it looks like when the new voltage regulator is installed. There's the original one mounted on these pads, 4 pads. It's a big bulky thing. They call it a shoebox regulator. It's in an aluminum shoebox, just full of all kinds of gadgets, and they are prone to fail. Now, the things that cause the OEM, the original voltage regulators, to fail. Most people, when they get their diesel generator from whatever source, these military generators, they go, well, I should warm it up first. It's a diesel. So they start it and they idle it or run it just slightly above idle. And what happens is the voltage regulator is trying to put out the voltage it's looking for, 120, 240, and it's not able to because the generator, the armature, is not spinning fast enough. So it keeps increasing and increasing the voltage to the field, and it ends up burning up. So if you idle your generator, you can blow up your voltage regulator. These are a lot more forgiving, although you still don't want to ever idle your engine. The other thing is people shut the engines down while they're still under load. So always turn your breaker off before you shut the engine down. This voltage regulator is an automatic voltage regulator. The one that was in it was manually adjusted here. And as your engine increased the load, quite often you'd have to keep bumping the volts back up, watching your amp gauge, watching your volt gauge, and increasing the voltage under load. This one's going to do it all totally automatically, and that's why this is the one to have. It's turnkey. You don't have to think about it anymore. So in the 120 volt mode only, this knob has been taken off, but it points at 120 V single phase, 120 volt single phase. And here's a disclaimer. The way I wired mine, it runs perfect. And I know these regulators will work, but if you look at mine, you make decisions and you try to wire your own and it burns up, it's not my fault. I recommend getting a hold of an electrician or a shop that knows how to do this if you can. And I've got a friend that I'm going to be helping do this step by step, but I probably don't have time to help the whole world do this. And besides, there would be liability issues if I put it out there and said, this is how to do it. All I know is it works for mine. So what I have on mine is you have an F1 and an F2. After you take the other one out and you unhook the wires, you're really left with 4 wires that involve the new voltage regulator. F1 and F2, I believe, are field 1 and field 2, and they go on these two, one here and one here. So that's F1 and F2, and they're marked. And then the other side, there's 2 more that are involved, these other 2 wires. and they hook up over here on this terminal block, and I'll explain that. These two wires here are actually just wire nutted together with a wire nut. This wire nut just joins these two. And what this was this was hooked to the rheostat that made it possible to manually increase or decrease the voltage on the regulator. Well, my rheostat failed, so I just bypassed it right here with a wire nut, and now it's all done automatically. When you get it, there's probably an extra clip that's going to be able to jump this place anyway, so that you're not using a rheostat if you don't want the rheostat involved with your install. One clip does 120, 240. You put it on a different place, and it's 120 only, the instructions say. And the other clip, I believe, does the 60 cycles on one side or 50 cycles on the other side, and I'll deal with all that when I get the instructions out. So just showing a general overview of what it's going to look like when you install it. If you're planning on doing this install, you're going to need an AVR. An SX460 is this model. That's going to focus. Got it on Amazon. I noticed the same exact regulator sells from $32 to $560, depending on who you buy it from. So I guess there's folks out there wanting to rip you off, or it was a mistake or something, but you shouldn't pay more than $32 for one of these things. The other thing that you're going to need to buy is a simple fuse holder, and you're going to need a 5 amp 250 volt fuse and a couple of wire nuts. And what we're doing is we're fusing the input voltage to the voltage regulator to protect the regulator. So you'll need a fuse holder and some wire nuts, and this wire here hooks to terminal block number 1, and the other wire opposing hooks to terminal block, let's see, 1, 2, 3, hooks to 4. But I'll explain all of that. So there's only going to be 4 terminations: terminal block 1, terminal block 4, field 1, field 2, and that's all there is that hooks up to it. So it's super, super simple when you grab the right wires. So there is a schematic online for which wires that you use, and they're numbered. And I'll be sending that to my friend on email, what it looks like and which wires to hook where when he gets his regulator and gets ready for his install. Just a little overview of what it looks like. It runs super, super awesome. Never even have to think about it. And then once it's installed, it's a real simple procedure to set it up. This one, I believe, does the voltage. This one does the stability. So you get a voltage multimeter, you plug it into your service outlet, put it on AC, and you turn this one up until it reaches 120 volts. And then you'll notice the light will start flashing and the power output will start surging. So you trim this one, I believe, clockwise until the light goes out, or till the light stays on. And then you go over and you check this one again, and you notice that your volts went down. So you turn them up again, then you notice your light's flashing again. So now you increase this one again until the light stays on, and this one's at 120. So it takes about 3 minutes to tweak it till it's perfect, and I've never had to adjust mine again once it's set up, and it just stays right there. So even when this thing's running 4,000 watts, and when this gauge is at 100%, it's actually putting out 4,000 watts. The most we ever run it is 75% when we're actually doing laundry, the washing machine, and the dryer, and the lights in the house. I'm putting 70 amps on my batteries. The refrigerator's running, the freezer's running, and for the first hour, when the batteries are taking 70 amps, I'm running about 75%. An hour later, I'm at 50%, and an hour and a half later, I'm down at anywhere from 10 to 15%, still doing laundry. So this thing handles the whole house in a 120 volt application just beautifully. And it's good power, it's clean power. My inverter likes it. You know, you flip on the stereo in the house, and when the generator's running, you don't hear any noise. It's got lots of filters in it. So we're good to go that way. I think you'll be happy with it. So I hope this helps. Again, this is a disclaimer. This is not a how-to throw out there on the internet. I don't want anybody to burn their generator up or electrocute themselves. You need to get a professional to do this kind of stuff. And I'm stumbling on my words. I just got a load of firewood cut for my neighbor, Silver Madrone, and I had to winch it down off the mountain, and my neck and back are shot. And this is the third time I've tried to make this video. I've deleted 2 of them already. So anyway, yeah, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to run great. Talk to you guys later. Blessings.